Natasha, and thank you so much for joining me today. Well, today I'm going to be showing you 3 different ways in which I use these gorgeous border dies. Now, there are lots of different companies that make these. I have a couple here. This one I'm holding is the Daisy Border 2, and the other one is the lovely Florals Blossom Border. Now, these are just a couple from Paper Rose. As I said, there are lots of other companies that do these, but in general, this style of border die, I want to show you a couple of different ways that we can use these. So I'm going to start off with just some regular cardstock. These are pieces that are 110 pound cardstock, and they are going to be cut at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. Now I'm using my magnetic platform for these so that they don't move around too much. When I send them through my Big Shot, it does save me having to use mint tape or something to hold it in place, but more importantly, it means I can line it up on the background grid of my paper and get it nicely where I want it to go. All of the pieces fall out really, really easily with this die. I was pretty impressed. There's a couple of others that I can just pop out with smaller little pieces. This would also be great for paper piecing. Now, I'm not doing that today because that's just another technique as well, but I want to show you some finished cards, and we are just going to use these as is. So when you die cut them out, and they're going to be these gorgeous, gorgeous borders that we can create. I'm going to send the next one through as well, and then take this one off. Now, Paper Rose do have others in their collection that are exactly like this, and I will link these ones as well as a couple of others that I love. But as usual, we have to make choices. I don't have the budget or the space, so I picked up a couple of these, and I just want to show you a few gorgeous ways we can use them. Now, I am going to take my all-time favorite at the moment, my scalloped rectangles, and I am going to die cut around the outside here. Now, this is going to only slightly touch the border of the daisies, but it is going to give me that really sort of delicate, feminine sort of look to the outside of the card without having to do too much to it. All of these cards are pretty simple, but actually just stunning. Now, I'm going to shift these onto some black cardstock just so that you can get a really good image of these, because it's hard with the light background and then the white papers, but these are just really detailed and beautiful dies, I would say, and really impressed with how they die cut as well. Now, let's get on to creating the first card for these. So I'm going to take this gorgeous blossom border here, and this, as I said, it's cut from a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece of cardstock, so it's going to fit perfectly on the same sized card base, which is the most common one that I tend to use. But we do want to add a little bit of color to these. So there is always so many ways to go about this, for sure. And sometimes it can feel really tricky to cover all of those in one short video. I prefer my videos to be on the shorter end. Around that 10 to 12 minute mark is generally what I aim for. And so it can be hard. Of course, there are definitely other ways that you can go about this. I have so many videos on my channel, way over 1,000 at this point. And so if you are interested, please subscribe and you'll be able to see some more, or go and check them out, see if there's anything else that interests you. But for this one, I am using some shaded lilac, some wilted violet, and some picked raspberry distress oxide inks. And you can see that at the minute, this pretty much looks like a bit of a gorgeous hot mess, a colourful hot mess at that, but you know, a bit interesting. This is also directly onto the card base. I'm going to take some Altenew shimmer spray just to sort of step it up that little notch, and I'm just sort of doing half presses on the nozzle so that I get kind of more blobs than spray. It definitely does both, but I wanted more splatter, if that makes sense, and you can see it really, really nicely, very shimmery. Now, in my card making, if you've watched my videos, I absolutely love the Paper Rose black and white sentiments and the all occasion sentiments packs, where there are sort of small strips of sentiments that you can use, and I use them to death. I absolutely adore them when I don't feel like stamping out a sentiment. Now, I found that they have these big sentiments. This is the big sentiments 1.0 from Paper Rose, and so I purchased these to try them out. Now, I used the thank you one for this one, and then I also used one of the dies from that same scalloped rectangle set to just give it a little bit of an edging and just, step it up a notch a little bit to die cut out that pre-printed sentiment. Then I have actually glued the card front straight onto the card base. That way you could add dimension. You absolutely could add foam tape in behind this, but you would sort of get glimpses of how messy that color was underneath. So for this one, we are just going straight down on the card base. I did pop the sentiment up on a tiny little bit of foam just to give it a little bit of dimension. And then I have these gorgeous sequins here. All of these supplies will be linked down below in case you want to check them out closer. But I'm just going to use my little tool here. One side is a very sharp ended tool, and the other side is a little silicone tip that you can place your gems with. And then this is going to be the first card finish. So they've got that gorgeous little shimmery element with the sequins and the shimmer spray in the background. Right, moving on to the next one here. This is gorgeous as is. I mean, this behind a black card would make a gorgeous card as is. I actually really love this. But moving forward with the color, now the last one, we did the background of color and left the top white. Now we're just going to do the opposite of that. We're going to color in this one here. Now I'm going to do this quickly and beautifully with some salt water taffy and mustard seed distress oxide sprays. Now you by all means can make your own sprays. You can use the oxide sprays, the distress sprays, the Dina Wakley sprays, the Dilution sprays, the Brutus Monroe sprays. There are so many that you could possibly use, but if you put on all of that gorgeous ink, don't forget to take a print of that pattern, because we have got a lot of ink, a lot of spray down there, and then look how good this transferred. That is a perfect transfer of that image, and then you can almost get 3 because of the one underneath as well, but we have a gorgeous little spritz of ink. So using 2 colors with the pink and the yellow, we obviously got an orange where it met in between. Now I have the Ultinew Sticky Matte. That's what I have down in my stamping platforms these days because it holds it beautifully. I do trim it down because it was meant for either their stamping platform or, one of their tools, but actually I just use it in my original stamping platforms and I love it. Definitely worth it. I've gone with the vertical sentiment here just because there's that gorgeous amount of space down the right hand side. And I am popping it in my stamping platform just because we've done a good amount of work on this at the moment. We've done the 2 times the die cutting and then the inking of it, so we want to make sure that we get a gorgeous stamp there. That is the vertical greetings from Pink and Main. Then I'm going to add 1mm foam tape. This just gives a little bit of lift without too much. So that comes in 2 different widths. It comes in a 1/4 inch and a 1 inch wide roll. And I have both of these and they're both very, very handy. And as you see, I can just use 2 different widths there and we are good to go. I pop this down on a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch card base. Again, this card does not need too much more. There is beautiful detail within it, but I couldn't help myself in adding a little bit extra to the insides of those flowers. So to do that, I'm just using some white Nuvo drops, and I just sort of do a little bit of pressure till I get a wee drop, and then I do like a swirling pattern as I pull the container upwards, and that way I get a really nice rounded even top to my drops, and then put that aside to dry. But this one is very easy, simple and quick to create. Now on to the next one. We are going to do like a drop shadow. So I have die cut this one out twice, one out of black cardstock, one out of white cardstock, and I have some Stick It double-sided adhesive on the back of both of these. I just die cut them out with it on. And then all you want to do is put the white on top or the black, and you want to just shift it up into the right just a fraction, just a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction. And this creates a drop shadow for the background. Now this card is going to be very, very clean and simple. I'm simply going to trim the ends above, below, and the sides. Don't forget to get out all those extra little pieces that, because my cardstock was too big to begin with. Then I'm going to use my trimmer to trim through both the layers of thick cardstock. This is the Spellbinders trimmer. the guillotine trimmer, which I absolutely love. I have definitely moved to this one and love it. I have taken off the Stick It double-sided adhesive release paper on the back here, and remember these are stuck together at this point, so there's just one that we're popping down, and then I will pop this onto a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch card base. And these are slightly taller than what you need, so I will need to trim a little bit off the top and bottom, but I quite like that because it gives me room for variation and placement. So I don't mind that at all, that they're a little bit taller than what we need. Then I just trim off the excess and you have this gorgeous, it almost looks white on white, but with that little shadow, just really is stunning. I'm going to do a Get Well Soon card using those big sentiments from Paper Rose, and again, I'm just going to back it in some black cardstock just so that it sort of stands out a little bit and it matches the other background that we've got there. I am going to add some more of those clear iridescent sequins. They're sort of sequins without holes in the center. Anyhow, as I said, I will link them down below if you want to take a closer look and see if you've got something similar. I also want to remind you that for the month of November in 2024, I am running a promotion over on my website. If you sign up for either the monthly or the annual subscription to my website, you will go in the draw weekly, every single week of November, to win a $25 scrapbook.com gift voucher. So head on over there if you would like to see more card making classes, if you would like to see a whole year's worth of the alphabet of card making techniques and classes over there, all exclusive to the website. And then there are just so many more things over there. So head on over there and check it out if you are interested. But this is the finished drop shadow card there. Plain, simple, but really beautiful. I really enjoyed all 3 of these cards using 3 different techniques with those border dies. Now you might have something similar that aren't border dies that you could create that are more outline dies, and you might be able to do similar. I have other videos on my channel as well that sort of go along these lines using different dies, so check those out. Other than that, thank you for being here, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Thanks, bye!